Whatever's in the bottom cup's gonna... It did already.
No, it didn't. No, you're wrong.
Well, that makes us even for today.
Bump, 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 bump. What was I wrong about?
Cats, bats.
Welcome to Nintendo Voice Chat for the week of April 16th, 2015. I am your host, Jose Otero, and we have an awesome show full of hopefully awesome predictions for you.
Are you
sure? Joining the awesome. Cast, hopefully awesome, all right. Always off course. We'll see what happens. Martin Sleva joins us this week.
Thank you so much for having me.
Martin?
Yeah.
Yes. I haven't heard that name.
Civilized.
That's because I'm fancy.
That's a name I
Absolutely
haven't heard.
Fancy. Now that he is the host of Beyond Podcast, he has to be fancy.
Oh.
And as
podcast,
always, the fancy guy behind the wheel of a new car soon.
What? Oh,
Per Schneider. Not trying to blow up your business on the
terrible.
podcast, but I know that's a
trying
thing.
to blow up your business.
Yeah.
My wife's car broke. We need a new one.
Uh-huh.
It's okay. We
So
sent
you-
it off. It was touching.
Was
you,
it?
My
like-
wife said goodbye to the minivan.
Did you give it a
Okay.
Viking funeral?
We call it the fun bus. It was like dragged off by a tow truck. It was very, very sad.
All right.
Yeah. And
So-
with it, all sorts of smells disappeared from our street. 'Cause the kids spilled every drink ever invented in that car.
Really?
Fun bus.
And you
Yeah.
never got the stains out?
Oh,
or
it's
the smell
awful.
out?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
It's still there. You could lick the.
Well, one
car
thing
and-
you won't be licking is
find
E3
flavors.
predictions on this
Oh, really?
podcast. So,
Well, like 'em.
what will be at E3 and what won't be at E3? So, before we start, let's give some folks some context. Obviously, at E3 this year, we know a couple things. We know Yoshi's Woolly World will probably most definitely be there. That's a game coming out later this year. Xenoblade Chronicles X will most definitely be there because it's a game coming out later this year. Same goes for Star Fox, Mario Maker, whatever the Miyamoto games were, but they've been abnormally silent about those two things, Project Giant
Yeah.
Robot and Project Guard. I think one of those was supposed to be scheduled for Q2, according to the last investors' meetings notes. We're in Q2, right?
We're in Q2. Yeah.
Or we're in
as of
Q1.
March
Yeah,
31st.
we are.
Yeah, we're in
Yeah.
Q2.
Yeah.
So far nothing. And then Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer. We also know there's a new Fire Emblem. Not really sure about Shin Megami Cross Fire Emblem, but we'll see. All right, there's probably more, but let's skip to what we already know will not be at E3.
This is a sad one.
Zelda Wii U still hurts. it still hurts. The NX will not be discussed most
No, of course
likely
not.
at E3. And then it's pretty much fair game from there. I'm willing to bet 3D Mario, new fancy 3D Mario will not be there. But why don't we
Well, that's
save
a
it
prediction,
for
Jose.
the predictions? Yeah. So let's lead off. We'll do multiple rounds. I brought 5. You should have each brought 5. I warned you to
I
bring
think I
5.
did. Hold on.
If you didn't bring 5,
You're fired.
you
I don't think we can fire
I'm
you.
out.
go to detention.
Oh, I
don't
got. I
know.
got 5. I got 5.
All right, you got 5.
All right.
Okay,
Terrible one.
so mine are pretty terrible too, but I'm going to go with a safe bet for the first prediction, and that is that the smaller model, new 3DS, will be coming to the U.S. as early as hopefully this summer.
Weird.
You think so, huh?
Yeah.
Why? So why the delay?
I don't know. That's the weirdest part. No,
doesn't have
if
a
I had to
business
guess,
plan.
if you think about it, new 3DS led off in a lot of smaller markets. It did not lead off in the larger markets like Europe until 2015, earlier this year. When it first launched, what was that? August, between the span of August and December of 2014.
Yeah.
Everywhere that thing launched was a smaller market. So I do believe that maybe it was manufacturing issues, maybe it was Nintendo trying to stay profitable and not taking a risk on making
It's
too
the
much hardware.
ports.
Don't know. But what I do believe is there is enough people asking for this thing that it is going to show its face. Now, the weird thing is, I don't know if it shows up at E3, but I want to believe that at E3 they say, yep, that's coming this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I respect your prediction, but that sounds like a really lame announcement.
It is a lame announcement.
Like a
That's why I went with
Band-Aid
it.
for something that I would expect that to just show up where if the 3DS XL, new 3DS XL sales slow down, they're like, oh, and now
Look at
there's
this new
the
thing.
pocket version
But that
of
might be
it.
the story this month with MPD.
Yeah?
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
Those numbers
Okay.
are coming in hot.
I don't think yeah.
Is
I
the
would
small
say
version cheaper than the XL in Japan?
It is.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
so. That's the first sell the expensive one, and the one they know was better received in the U.S.
Yeah,
market.
yeah.
And then and here's the alternative, and guess what? It's cheaper.
Yeah.
And
And it
look,
has
it has
faceplates, so you can
Yeah,
get
that's a
all
cool thing. Yeah.
fashionable
Yeah.
with it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I went first. Who wants to go next?
That's
then we'll
nice.
keep this order.
I'm a board
You
game
go
guy.
next.
We'll
Okay.
go in a circle.
Okay, clockwise.
I think the big game that they're announcing at E3 is absolutely Animal Crossing Wii U.
Hmm.
It's gonna come out at Christmas, and it's gonna use Amiibo. It's got a Toys to Life.
Stole
angle.
my prediction.
Real Amiibo, not the cards. It's
no,
gonna
you
tie.
didn't.
It's gonna tie in with. Well, it can use both, but it's gonna ship with a line of figures. It's gonna have a pack in, actually, of course, and it's gonna tie in directly with 3DS home design, with a home design game. Like that's how you can organize your home the old-fashioned like pushy way in the Wii U version,
pushy.
or you can use when you're on the go. You can change everything and then sync your game, and then your house gets updated. When
Sync
you
your
get
game.
Yeah.
You're jumping into
What?
the future. Wait, hang on.
back. No, and
I mean, not to say disparaging remarks on this podcast, but
No,
that's
absolutely.
But you're
far-fetched.
that's going to happen, and also the Happy Home Designer game is also going to be on mobile.
Okay, so I like that prediction a
That's-
lot because this past year and a half, I feel like we've seen more and more experiments showing up on both systems.
Yeah.
You saw Tipping Stars, you saw Smash Brothers, you see to some degree Pushmo has shown up on both platforms. That took
Yeah.
a little bit longer, but that happened. I think that they are looking at ways to make games scale in a certain way, and this buy one get one free business is sort of a band-aid around the limitations of the system they have in
Yep.
place. So I think this is a good one. I like your prediction.
And what I like about my made up thing is that one of the problems with Animal Crossing on console was that it was inherently, it was conceived as an N64 game, but the moment it went mobile, you're like, oh, it makes all the sense in the world. I
Yeah.
can spend a couple of minutes doing something, turn it off, or check in quickly when I'm in bed to see like what bugs out at night, or by having the home design angle on the go, you can actually do stuff on the go, and you can receive characters and stuff, and then sync up your house later with the Wii U version. That's what I think. That's my story.
And we're
I'm
looking at
sticking
him
to
like
it.
he's crazy.
that'd
No, I'm
be. I
kidding.
mean, that'd be awesome. I love the idea.
Yeah,
of
that's
that.
the,
I love the
that's
idea
the
of sort of
on-the-go
cross-save.
angle, right?
Yeah,
Like you
totally.
take it with you on this thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that idea. Don't think it's gonna happen, but
I don't know.
like
The only reason I
all I
don't see this happening right away, and I'm only going to push back a little on this because I love the idea,
Go ahead.
is that the network framework for them isn't there, and whatever DNA is working on for them would have to work with this. It would absolutely have to be part of that ecosystem for that to work. I don't think that Wii U and 3DS are equipped to do that right now. But I still love your prediction, so high five to you, sir.
Oh, that's it. You're getting
Yeah,
a
that's what you got.
left high five.
Yeah, that's all. All right. Martin Sleva, what do you have?
Martin.
I think we're gonna see one new Mario game at E3. We'll see Mario Maker, and the new Mario game we're gonna see is Mario Sunshine for the new 3DS.
Booyah.
Yeah. So that's
I like
the,
it.
That's the Mario game. I don't think we're quite ready to see the new next Mario 3D World 2 / Mario Galaxy 3 / Mario whatever. I don't think we're ready to see quite the new one, but I think if you look at the success of Majora's Mask, critically as well as sales-wise, I think Nintendo is going to be revisiting a lot of older games that may have been not looked over, but sort of underappreciated at the time. And I think Sunshine is one of those games that the further we get away from it, I think the more people remember it fondly, just because it was weird and a little bit different.
Well, it's a game that could use some touching up just
Oh,
to help
totally.
it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
It fits under that banner of the games that do get remade by Nintendo did have some problems, some wrinkles that
Yeah,
needed to get
totally.
ironed out.
Yeah, and Nintendo did iron out some of those wrinkles in Majora's Mask 3D.
What makes you think 3DS though over Wii U? That's the one thing I want to hear from you.
That's where it's gonna sell. I don't know. That's I gotta to not to be a jerk or anything, but I think Mario Maker is sort of their Mario game that they're positioning right now for the Wii U, and they haven't really had one for 3DS since 3D Land. Correct?
Probably. Yeah, that
That
sounds
was the
about
last
right.
3D it was
Dedicated
yeah.
Mario platform.
Yeah. So
New one at that.
Yeah, and sort of they've done more of the sort of updated remastered port thing with 3DS between Ocarina and Majora. So yeah,
Yeah, hopefully they
Interesting.
can overcome the challenges of a smaller screen with a game that moves like that. That
smaller
would be
screen,
the big.
and it's
yeah.
just that that analog stick is the second analog stick is extremely important. So I'd be curious to see sort of how the not quite an analog stick, but the second stick, the C stick on the 3DS holds
Yeah.
up with there.
And Mario is definitely a speedy little Mario in that game. Like I've gone back to play Sunshine, and sometimes I'm very surprised / impressed I could even control that game because
Totally.
it's fast. It's no joke.
Fast, and it's you're thinking differently than you think in any other Mario game in terms of
Yeah.
I have to navigate myself as well as this ostensibly a gun around the environment.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
All right.
it's a good game to showcase the dual stick setup for sure.
Totally.
And then I really love that game, except for some of the rough edges that they need to iron out. Like there's one of the few Mario games with serious slowdown on the beach level with the crazy electric manta rays, the broken camera in the pachinko game. All of that can finally get fixed for this release. So I like that prediction.
I like that one a
I would
lot.
like to play that.
Yep.
Me too.
All right. Round two.
Is Grezzo doing it? Probably.
Grezzo.
Grezzo's
Is that
doing
it? Is
everything.
that the
Grezzo
thing?
gun?
Yeah.
A Grezzo gun. What? How is that not a thing?
How would that possibly be a thing?
No, I love the name. All right, so my next prediction for my list of stuff, confidential list. I think this is way out there, and I kind of don't 100% believe this is going to happen at E3, but I'm going to jump in front of and say this anyway.
Uh-oh.
I think Zelda Maker gets announced as a 2016 game.
What?
Now, why do I think that? Well,
But don't-
I think Mario Maker has been incredibly well received so far every time they show it.
Yeah.
I also think that Mario Maker is the kind of game that you are not breaking a ton of backs to get that out of the door to put that on Wii U. And so I do believe, even though Zelda, to a degree, Zelda requires a lot more game design than Mario would absolutely need, I do 100% believe that the interface makes a lot of it easy to overcome.
And
The
obviously,
big question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, you first. You first.
No, continue.
Well, no, the big question being like, how do they teach you how to make a Zelda is the question. Like everyone plays a platformer and kind of gets it, right? The intrinsic action behind platforming is simplistic. It's jumping from, between gaps to the next thing. In Zelda, there's a bit more involved, but I still think that would be a really fun thing to
Yeah.
do. It would be their Minecraft to a degree.
Yeah, and
Absolutely would.
But they figured out how to make the design process so playful, right? Like you can in Mario Maker, you can create a level that is not beatable, right? Like you can create something that is broken, and that's of course the issue when you're designing an adventure game like a Zelda game. You can create something where you're like, oh no, you're supposed to have the hammer to open this door, and like if they go with the original game design, by the way, you probably don't need that.
And you
but-
can swap between Zelda, A Link to the Past,
I like it.
and A
3D World.
Link Between Worlds.
yeah.
Wow,
They're all there.
So next year, are you going to raise all this with Metroid Maker, or are you gonna,
I don't know, but-
Hey, they're not going to make us a Metroid.
2016 would be
This
serendipitous timing because it's also a major anniversary for
I think
Zelda.
that's a smart. That's a smart prediction. I think that makes all the sense in the world because it's like it's something you can pitch to even a junior team, at the company, and they can get going right away, and you can refine it.
Yeah.
I think it's great, and it uses their awesome brands
Yeah.
Yep.
in a new way.
Yeah.
And
And this
unlock
Maker
creativity.
series, to me, it has the makings of the making
Dog.
of something
Yeah.
really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm imagining now the ability, like when we saw it the trailer at the Game Awards. That was the last time we saw it, right? For Mario Maker, flicking between what it looks like in Mario 1 to Mario 3 to Mario World to New Super Mario Brothers. I'm just imagining that from 8-bit Zelda to 16-bit Zelda to Link Between Worlds.
and
And that just looks so cool in my head.
Yeah, and the more we see Mario Maker, the more we're like I showed you at my desk that like the Wiggler has a original Super Mario Brothers
Yeah,
sprite,
totally.
and that did not exist
Yeah, no, they
in
added
the
all this.
original
Yeah.
NES game.
The thing
so I
I'd be-
love that it brings together all that history
Yeah.
into this one experience.
So the thing I'm curious about with Mario Maker is I assume you are just making a single stage. I'm assuming you're not making a campaign.
Yeah,
I don't know. How have you guys thought about that?
So-
Like I'm imagining I am making one stage and you can play that stage.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
thought-
making world 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, 1-4.
I think you're going to have enough slots you can upload where someone can click on a profile. I think the last footage they showed that you are uploading more than one stage to make your sort of Mario world, if you want
Yeah,
to call it that.
yeah.
But I don't think it's as deep as
Yeah.
8 worlds with like
and
4
it's not
stages per
progression based.
world.
It's like I can pick any of Marty's levels. I think.
Yeah,
That's
it'd
how
be
I've been
rad
seeing
if you
it,
could
yeah.
make it progression based.
That's
really
I
cool.
mean,
Like
it would
the
also
way-
be rad if you can write the message that, like,
Yeah.
sorry, Mario, but Princess Toad actually left.
the way that'd be really cute actually. But then you could just swear. And
Yeah,
doesn't
and
allow
they
it.
don't want that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm imagining almost like it'd be like a Zelda dungeon maker. You wouldn't be making like the full adventure, but you'd be making like here's this one single thing, and it would have like a grammar to it to where like if you put these blocks, those little mole things that you have to smash down with a hammer, you need to put a hammer somewhere in the world.
Think about how Four Swords Adventures was created, right? Like
Oh, that might be another art style. Keep talking.
but that is the setup, right? Where you walk into a level and you can choose some of the weapons, but they're not all required to beat every puzzle. And so, like, they could do a game that is structured just like that, and people would not get themselves into trouble trying to design a whole adventure where, I needed the ice arrow to freeze the flaming monkey.
Thanks
in
for
the
that.
trip,
That's the
right?
4th art style. I was
Yeah.
wondering myself if it ships with 3 art styles or does it go with one more? Because
Yeah.
Zelda 2 doesn't make it in. It can't.
No.
It was a 2D sort of
Unless he's
action
like
RPG
swimming on
platformer.
the side, like.
If you're listening
Yeah.
to the audio version, I only wish we can turn what Pear just did into a
Sorry.
GIF. All right. Next up, Pear, you're up.
Oh, I'm up again. Okay, so I was thinking about the things I want them to announce. I'm like, it'd be awesome if they announce like Grezzo has learned so much from Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. They're gonna make their own Zelda adventure with the same art style, and it's gonna go before Wind Waker. And then I go like, nope, that's never gonna happen because I really, really want that, but it's not gonna happen. So here's my second prediction. And I don't mean to be snarky or but I think the second game that's going to be announced is new Super Mario 3D World for the 3DS.
New
Okay,
Super
so
Mario
3D
3D
World
World?
for the 3DS.
I think they created a model that worked nicely on the Wii U that they really liked. I don't think, we sometimes sit here going like, we are tired of the new thing. We're tired of this look and feel for a game. We wanted to go back to Galaxy. I don't think Nintendo shares that same sentiment. I think they're thinking about what broadly appeals to the masses, what is easier to create than a Galaxy or a Sunshine game. And so I think we're going to get new Super Mario 3D World for the 3DS.
So it would be a port of the Wii U game.
It's just like the Wii U game with new levels.
Interesting.
So the only
Yep.
pushback from me, and I love the prediction,
It's gonna have-
is how do you deal with the screen real estate difference? Because on a television, putting 4 people to be aware of each other on one view, does that mean everyone has their own view? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Even
but I
on
think
New
when they
Super
get
Mario
too-
Brothers 2, Mario and Luigi had to stay close together.
Yeah, I think when they get too far away, I think it's going to go beep, 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 and warp one guy.
Okay.
But I do think they'll support that 4-player gameplay. And it's going to introduce, of course, Dog Mario.
But why 3D?
What a Dog
But why 3DS and not Wii U? Same question I threw at
Because
Marty.
I really want a Wii U Mario, and they're not going to do it. I think that's the next logical evolution for this type of gameplay to take it to the 3DS. Because I have nothing against 3D World. I think it's a good game with some really clever stuff, and I feel like they need a show horse for a show horse for the new 3DS. that uses a little bit more of the system's power, and I think this game would do it without being as crazy as a Galaxy game, which is a complicated thing to make.
But is it a new 3DS exclusive? And there aren't that many of those out there. Like, does that sort of change anything at all? Like,
That's
does
right.
it work with old 3DS?
That's what I wrote down, but honestly, it really depends on how widely spread the 3DS is. Like, yeah, I mean,
One Land worked just
ideally-
fine on 3DS.
Yeah, ideally they would make it, but to really push the new hardware. But realistically, it's probably going to be compatible with all.
I
of
like
them.
it. I like it. It wasn't snarky at all.
No, and I didn't mean it to be snarky. It's just like when we talked about after Retro did Donkey Kong Country, right? Like, what is the next game gonna be? And the answer was Donkey Kong Country, right? Like I feel like that's how Nintendo operates, and that's when they find a formula that works and has some success, they're gonna try it again on a different platform and see how it fares.
And add Amiibo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
All right. Martin, the ball is in your court.
You got all these in your head, by the way? You didn't write anything
No,
down?
I have notes.
Oh, you got a little.
Yeah, on my little.
He
my
looks on
little
his
keyboard.
tiny little phone.
You're in a phone with giants.
Stop this IGN just bullies.
We're waving our giant
Yeah.
iPhone 6 Pluses at Marty's
I
iPhone
forgot some people listen to this.
5.
That was a weird. No, 4.
iPhone 4, 4S.
Stop hating. My prediction.
Hey, little phone, come over here.
We are going
get
to
it,
see
let him
a new IP announced, and it's going to be from, as you mentioned, Retro.
Yeah?
I think that Tropical Freeze. I like Tropical Freeze a lot. I think they've had a second game being worked on for a while. We've seen listings for. They've been hiring folks like 3D artists and folks with action shooting experience.
Yeah.
And so I don't. Obviously, a lot of people are going to want Metroid Prime 4. For some reason, I just don't think it's that. I don't want to hold my breath for Metroid anymore. Until
Well, if you had started to hold your breath after the last one, you would be dead.
I would be extremely dead. Yeah, I'd be super dead.
Yeah.
But Dread will come and save us, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think it'll be a new IP, and I think it'll be something action orientated, not like 3D character action like Bayonetta, but something with guns.
Okay.
That's not
Cool.
Splatoon. Like I call Splatoon. That was
Stop
nice.
it.
Splatoon.
Splatoon.
That's the noise
Wow.
Paint makes.
He has said that since the
Man.
day he saw it. I just wanna
Splatoon
put
girl
that on
and
record.
Splatoon boy would be so mad at you.
Yeah.
What-
Actually,
his own character.
Splatoon boy. I can't talk about that yet.
That's right. I was
yeah.
just going to say, are you sure?
Yep.
Okay.
Not sure at all. So next thing I want to pull from.
I don't even know what's happening.
Yeah, you don't.
We're like E.T. and Elliot,
yeah,
Jose and I.
mhm, yep.
Yeah.
All right.
If ET
I'm looking at my list. I'm trying to pick something that's decent because the rest of this is just so bad.
You got to get
I
through
put all of
them,
it through
so-
number 2. I put my best ideas in number 2. So, and Pear took the Animal Crossing idea. I'm just like, I think Animal Crossing Wii U will absolutely work with Amiibo cards. All right, fine. Here's a safe bet. Wii U price drop. I think it has to happen.
I forgot about
I think selling the system at $300 with 2 games is not proving useful, or at least not in a way that you're seeing press releases or reports coming in with actual numbers saying that this strategy is working. I think the price of that box has to come down.
Yeah.
And I think it does come down this year before NX Talks comes. I mean, I think they still need to keep that box going until they can say more about NX. And the only way to do that, in my mind, take another game out of the box. Like, just sell it with 1 game, but bring the price down. It's
Yep.
not working. I
Yeah.
don't think it is.
I mean, the weird thing is the further it goes down, the closer it gets to the new 3DS, and then then that starts getting weird if
Oh,
they're
yeah.
too close to each other. But I completely agree that with, I mean, you can go out and get a Xbox One or PS4 for $350.
Yeah.
I think,
and we use selling for 300 with 2
with
games.
2 games, which is great. But
2
man,
great games in most
2 great
cases.
games,
Yeah.
totally. But I mean, it's not going to go down to $199, but that would be a price to where people would be like, "Oh man, I can do this. Like, I can buy this right away."
Have they ever tried a bundle, a Nintendo license bundle that is the Wii or the Wii U and the 3DS bundled together? Like the Christmas parents, you can't pass up this deal because both of your kids are going to have something cool.
I think
bundle?
the only way that deal works is if those devices actually talk to each other more. And
yeah, with Animal
currently,
Crossing,
they
they
talk to
will.
each other but they talk to each other sparingly. Like Tipping Stars is the last example of those 2 boxes talking to each other.
Yeah.
There's just not that many,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's surprising this time around too, because I feel there were more experiments on Wii, and I
Yeah.
could be 100% wrong. I'm sure someone will write in to tell us that. But yeah, I think that strategy only works if that's the
Because
case.
your thinking is exactly right. They have to bring down the price because next to the other two consoles, it's difficult to see the value at a retailer, right? Unless you're a parent looking for a very specific game, the guy selling you the systems is going to say, "Oh, the PlayStation is the hot seller and the Xbox has Halo and blah blah blah," right? And that's what the kids are probably going to be asking for. So that's why they need something. They either need the lower price, or I was thinking like a stunt like that, where you're standing in front of it, you're like, wait, it's a console and a tablet and a 3D handheld, right? Like something to spark interest in the
Let me
machine.
ask you this, because you were sort of deeper in the weeds during the GameCube era with coverage. I mean, there were price cuts there. Did that help?
Yeah. I mean, it always, price cuts definitely the month after the price comes down, you will see the boost. And sometimes it's a big spike, as we saw with the initial 3DS, right? And sometimes it's a smaller bump. It also depends on what else is coming out,
Yeah.
Like you're doing it in a month where GTA, Halo, Madden come out, then it's not going to happen. But,
Yeah. No, and there's definitely a lot of pride at Nintendo, and there's a lot to be proud of. But I just don't think the price point that they're selling at is making a whole lot of
It's
sense.
tough. Yeah.
It's hard.
And it's not far enough removed from the other consoles. Whereas like the Wii was clearly a value play, but it also had that kind of novelty angle that sold it, right? Like it was almost didn't matter that it was cheaper, but it was in that realm that it was affordable and you're not buying the $600 PlayStation 3 or whatever. Was it ever $600? It was a lot. right?
It was one of the
forgot.
models. It was 500 and 600, I think, were the
Yeah,
two
yeah.
price points for,
Yeah,
for
PS3.
PS3
Yeah, I
when it
think
came
that's
out.
what I paid
Well,
for.
You
yeah,
would
giant
work
bread.
a second job for that.
Yeah.
And a third. All right, next one. Terrible quote. I'm
Is
sorry.
me again?
Yeah, it's you
Okay,
again.
so the big, first of all, the big focus at E3 is Star Fox for Nintendo. I think they'll spend most of their time on Star Fox. They'll have some of the other announcements, but this is going to be the core focus. And I think the big announcement is the 16-player online mode. So that's their big thing. It's not going to have voice chat. Don't get excited here.
Will the animals be able to
But,
talk to
but,
each
but
other?
wait, you've got syncing plans, but you don't have voice chat?
No.
I'm just being
the
cynical.
3DS
I
syncing
apologize.
to the Wii U is really easy to solve. I think the voice chat, from all we've heard about Splatoon, is more of an ideology question. They're like, oh, people are really mean, therefore nobody should have a telephone. Like that's their approach, right, to life. It's like if you don't talk to anybody, they can't be mean to you.
People are really mean. They shouldn't have a telephone.
Yeah,
I like that.
no, and so that's why I think it's less about the technology, more about the
Thank goodness they didn't take Miiverse away.
But I think Star Fox is going to be online. It's going to, of course, have Amiibo support.
Okay.
And that's going to be their big focus.
Yep. So that means Fox McCloud figures back in stock?
Yeah, and
Do
they're
you-
going to
do you
make
see
up new
the-
characters that we haven't seen yet that you
A
can
Star
play
Fox
as.
line dedicated?
Yeah.
The
'Cause you need
Arwing.
16 players. They're going to have 16 selectable
So
players.
it's going to be blue Slippy, red Slippy.
Ooh,
So Miyamoto,
Slippy.
Miyamoto said at E3 he would love a Star Fox amiibo, like an Arwing amiibo, to happen.
Yeah.
So that's probably
Yeah,
a
I'm
thing.
sort of waiting for the amiibos of things to happen.
Amiibos of
What do you mean the
Yeah,
amiibo?
the thing amiibo, because everything's been a character so far. Like, what
Yeah.
about an amiibo that's a thing? Like, an
Oh, like a
Arwing?
ship, like
yeah.
But
yeah.
don't you think that there's like a design doc at Nintendo, like in a glass case, like the Golden Fertility Idol, and it says, an amiibo is a character, not a thing. You cannot have a hammer.
Amiibo's also made up words, so you can put whatever the hell
But
you
it's
want.
like amigo. It's like a friend, you know?
Oh,
Not a hammer.
It's Spanish. I didn't
Hammer is a
realize.
tool.
It's not Spanish. They've
is
said that
Spanish.
before. No,
Yeah.
they've been pretty clear at events.
Totally is
That
Spanish.
pair didn't go to. All right,
Womp
next. Nice work.
I agree. Star Fox is going to be a big deal. It's going to be like the smash of last year's E3. But I think we're going to see a decent chunk, or at least a single run of the show be about their first mobile games. About the Dina or the DNA or whatever.
DNA.
Yep.
DNA.
And I think I don't think we're going to see a Mario game. I don't think we're going to see a Zelda. I don't think we're going to see a Metroid. I see maybe a WarioWare-ish thing. I could see maybe a
Star Fox.
Tetris, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Why
like
not?
Tetris Attacky puzzle, like Puzzle League. Man, in my mind, a game I would really like would be a 2D Donkey Kong game that's like Rayman Jungle Run, the Ubisoft mobile game. I think Ubisoft was really smart in taking traditionally what's a platformer
Yep.
and turning it to mobile, where you're not using a fake D-pad and everything because the character is just always moving,
Yeah.
and so you control jumping and you control swinging.
Well,
and
take Jungle Beat, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, you were pounding on those drums
That
to
would
get
be
him to run,
cool.
but give me Jungle Beat.
Yeah, where you
but
get a little
on,
rhythm on it.
yeah,
Totally.
I'll take it.
I would totally get it. Yeah, I don't
Alright.
want, I don't want Super Mario Brothers on my phone. I want something cool that they designed particularly for my phone.
You're not going to get
But-
Super Mario Brothers.
I know.
on
I don't
your
think
phone.
we will either.
I mean, really,
You'll
I don't
not.
know. It's just I'm only to be the counter opinion here. Mario is the most recognizable icon they have.
Well,
How
you'll
do you
get,
pass
but you'll
that
get
up?
We'll get
Mario
a
themed
Mario
stuff.
game.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
But
There have
you
been
need
mini
to
games
design.
designed in like Mario 64 DS had a section of mini games that were 100% mobile games
Yeah.
before the mobile market even
No,
was
I think
a thing.
I think that's what you're going to see, but you're not going to get Mario Brothers.
Yeah,
You're
that's
not
what I think.
gonna get
We
So
will
a
not get Super
traditional
Mario Brothers.
Not gonna
platforming
get it.
Mario
Yeah,
game.
I
No,
completely agree with
I think I agree with that, but
Yeah.
the
No
idea
way.
of Mario not making it to the phone, I 100% would disagree with. I guess was
character
my
will be
bigger
there.
Point.
Yeah, man, I would love though to be able to like on the go make Mario Maker levels on my iPad. I
Yeah.
can play them, just make them, just
Yeah.
mess around with it on a plane, just sort of create things and then have it. Again, this is never gonna happen, but have it,
I don't
communicate
know,
with
I
my
mean,
Wii U.
If you can
My
tie
Wii U doesn't like
together
anything else in my house.
the partnership with DNA seems focused around tying together all of their ecosystems, but that would mean that you'd only be building levels in Mario on tablet for Mario Maker. I don't think
Yeah.
you can play a level of Mario Maker on a tablet.
Yeah,
I just don't think that's
I think
possible.
the true tying of ecosystems isn't going to be fully seen until whenever NX is. I just don't. I think the Wii U is far enough along to where it's sort of, I don't know. It's that like can't teach an old dog new tricks, I guess,
Sure.
for lack of a better term. But I think that the DNA sort of connectivity stuff is more in line with what Nintendo's going to be 5 years from now.
Well, and I to toss this out there, I don't think to this day we've seen any sort of game that has existed in all spaces, meaning a home console, PC, and a tablet yet that does it like that launched on all of them at the same time and did it well. I know XCOM came to iPad later,
yeah.
and it's a decent port. It doesn't look great. Like that was always my criticism of that
Yeah.
thing, but it works just fine.
Yeah,
Like, it
yeah.
plays good.
I mean, like over time, I think
something that
Minecraft's
scales
been
to
the thing that's
everything.
proven, but that took a long time to
Yeah,
to
Terraria too.
I guess that's
Right,
a good
that's true.
example.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another good example.
And then some of the Spartan stuff that Microsoft's done.
Okay.
Yeah,
on-
like
across
Hearthstone works
platforms.
really well on
but
PC.
but none of them talk to each other. They
No,
all
no,
are
they don't.
standalone
Yeah, yeah.
spaces,
Yeah.
standalone things.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
Cool.
Do you think the mobile stuff will even be at E3?
I do. I have a prediction for that too.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Wait. Do you,
Oh, you first.
Eesh.
Yeesh.
Way to put me on the spot. I honestly did not think the mobile stuff shows its face at E3. I think that they can use another event to push that. I feel
Yeah.
like E3 is more about them selling their consoles and their platforms versus them selling, what they're doing on mobile.
Yeah.
I just think they can tell that story for smartphones and where they're at with that at any time. I don't know
Yeah.
if necessarily E3 plays that, but I wouldn't say that it's impossible. Like it would never happen.
Yeah.
That's like, I mean, sorry, just to finish
of
the
course.
thought. That's like the question being: does Nintendo show up at an Apple event to demo a game? Do designers from Nintendo take the stage?
That's weird.
That could be a thing.
That you could have.
Oh yeah, I'm just.
You could have
That's-
the Iwata moment at the Apple conference.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I totally never thought of that, but
Yeah.
yeah, totally. You absolutely
Please
could.
understand.
I mean, that would be the place to. That would also be the place to do it.
Yeah.
But my thought for E3, which I mean, that can like the Apple event almost makes more sense now that you've mentioned it.
Yeah.
But my thought is just E3 is that event where all of media has its eyes on games.
Yeah.
Mainstream media. Good Morning America is going to be there. Entertainment Weekly is going to be there. Nightly news. Like you're going to get like my mom knows that E3 goes on.
Wow.
So yeah,
Yeah.
no, she's- yeah.
Well, and to piggyback that
Exciting
point,
day in the sleeper house.
yeah, to piggyback that point, and then I'm going to toss it over to Pear. That would mean if the mobile games show up at E3, that means they're serious, like about this play. They're absolutely serious. And then showing up at the Apple event is just the next. That's second base.
Yeah.
Maybe even third.
I'll share my opinion
Go
after
your
your
opinion.
next prediction.
No.
Because,
because
yeah,
it
well,
ties
because
into
it
your
ties
prediction.
into my prediction. Yeah.
Just skip, and I'll swap places. With
No,
you.
that's
Go ahead.
terrible.
Yeah,
No.
go.
He's
We're
a
on this
man of the
point
circle.
already. No. I don't want to.
man.
I don't want to let anything disappear. Go. We'll come back
Again,
to me.
like as a board game fan, this is like cheating.
That's
Like,
all right.
you're
Yeah,
giving me-
you-
No, so I think that they are. I think they're cautious about announcing mobile projects, but they want to acknowledge it for their investors because retailers don't care, other publishers don't care. The press is not going to care that much at an event like E3. But I think they will say, will give you a taste of what Nintendo on mobile means, and I do think they'll have a new Nintendo sub-brand for what they're called on mobile. I don't know what it's going to be, but like I think the game they'll announce, I love being super specific too because it's you can be so wrong, but if you get it right, man, like yeah,
You're a wizard.
yeah, I'll be a wizard, Annie.
I'm just watching you go.
No, it's Nintendo's WarioWare Tilt Madness for mobile. And I think they'll come out and they'll say, we want to make sure that the Nintendo brand is representative of mobile devices. We'll do something different. You know, the thing we love about mobile devices, they all have their own tilt sensor. We've experimented with this ourselves, and we proudly present, you know, our WarioWare mobile offering. It's all about just playing for 5 seconds while you're at a bus stop, and you share your scores, like your best scores, with all your friends through the Nintendo mobile network, the DNA kind of network. I think they'll announce that, and they'll announce one title, and then they'll move on because they do not want to divert from the fact that they are a console and hardware maker, and that is their main game and not mobile. And that's why I think it'll be a 5-minute portion of their programming.
I just wonder if part of their sort of viewpoint on mobile is to look at what was super successful for them on Wii, and what was super successful for them on Wii was Wii Sports.
Yep.
Was, I don't know, Big Brain Academy, like those kind of like life, gamified like life kind of stuff. I just wonder if they don't play that card first instead of like WarioWare is a hardcore gamer's game, like and we love it, like it's great. I hope that's a thing, but I almost wonder, do they instead look at that other stuff and go, well, this made us a lot of money. Maybe we should go with this instead.
Yeah, there are a lot of silly games on phones that kids play where it's all about like flushing toilets and all that. There are a bunch of popular games. Like when I visited Germany, you know, my son's kids. What are they? Cousins? No, what are they? Nephews? My nephews.
Your
my,
son's kids
my
are your
brother's
grandkids.
kids. Wah! No, my brother's kids. My nephews,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. They were playing the most outrageous, ridiculous games, and they all looked like WarioWare knockoffs to me. And I think that play style is proven. It's what Nintendo thinks it's appropriate for mobile devices, like that quick play, and I think that's what they're going to lead with.
Yep.
But I think that will be it for their mobile talk at E3, and they'll focus much more on console
Okay.
and 3DS.
I like it. All right. So my prediction will be, I'm gonna take a safe bet on this one too. Metroid returns for 3DS and Wii U. I think this has been a long time coming. I think whatever these games were, they've been in the works for a while, if they were. And I don't think delaying a Metroid to move it to the next thing, if an unannounced Metroid thing at that, would make a whole lot of sense. Because Metroid, as much as we love Metroid, Metroid isn't one of the big tentpole franchises. It's something that is very important to a very limited group of people.
Sure.
And I would be willing to bet those people on Wii U's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would 100% bet those people on Wii U's. It's a silly bet at that, but they have hinted that there is a Wii U and a sort of Metroid in the works that could be. I don't think it's one game across both. I think it's two separate projects. I think they've hinted as much, and I think it's about time. Honestly, Metroid has been missing for a long time.
So you think this is gonna be like the same fall where we got Prime and Fusion?
I hate to
that
think history repeats itself that often, but I think that to them maybe that's the kind of coming out party that Metroid needs. I mean, the last time they did it, it was great. Worked out really well for them.
Yeah, I mean, do you view it as like the 3DS one would be a traditional 2D and the Wii U one would be ostensibly Prime 4?
That's the thing I'm not sure. I think one of them is a 2D game. I just don't know if one of them's a Prime game. That's the thing that
We're getting
again,
Hunters too.
for
like it.
for
Please
us.
don't.
Prime. I people will disagree with me, but part of me thinks Prime burned out a little. I honestly feel that way. I feel like by the third game is still brilliant, but it starts out in sort of a weird way. I think Prime Hunters was absolutely an example of that, but it wasn't really made by Retro. It was made by what's the team at Nintendo? The one that did 1080 snowboarding?
NST?
NST,
Yeah.
Nintendo Software Technology.
Yeah, I agree with you. I actually thought the franchise burned out by the third one. It didn't feel special, even though it was a really cool game. It had some really awesome stuff in it with the gesture control
Towards the end was fantastic,
all the
especially the last
welding,
area you open.
the
Beautiful.
crazy like tracks that you're like the sky tracks and all that was just really, it's a really good game, but it didn't have that same kind of novelty impact.
And I
And
just
so I
also
don't think the next Metro is going to be a Prime game.
Okay. And I also think Retro burned out on that game, to be honest. I mean, I think right after or shortly before or after Metroid Prime 3, some key people left Retro, started their own studio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
And others ended up on like Halo 4, for example.
Which is why Halo 4 looks so much like Metroid. Yeah. I mean, it's almost funny, like, now when we're seeing the Halo 5, and you have, like, Master Chief walking up or sitting all, like, damaged, and, like, Dark Samus Locke walks up.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
It's
sorry.
got that, no, but it has that
Dark
exact
Master Chief.
same. It has that, like, Master Chief, Dark Master Chief setup.
totally,
Like, that
totally.
game feels really similar to Metroid now.
Yeah.
But, all right. Which is, it's not like Dark Samus didn't remind me of the Dark Link, but
Yeah,
you know.
totally.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
That other game. All right, Marty, you're up. And then we'll go back in regular order. What
Yeah.
round is this?
This is
the last one.
this is the end of round 4. I'm finishing off round 4.
Yeah, and
Okay,
then
and then we
we're
have
starting
one
round
more to go. I have no other crazy ideas left. All
What?
right, we'll go.
What?
What?
This is a weird one. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm just going to predict it anyways. We know that...
F-Zero, no.
I literally just deleted F-Zero.
Yeah.
I deleted... Lego Dimensions.
He deleted it from
Yeah?
Lego Dimensions just got announced.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we know Lego Dimensions is
You can
coming.
pre-order each figure right now. They're available for pre-order, even though it comes out in September.
You'll probably be able to find them
It's-
all, unlike other toys.
It's a little bit
Toys
like
to life.
Amiibo, where you can. It's not out, but you can pre-order it.
That's so dumb.
Yeah, keep going.
Um,
That was all I'm saying about
it's
Amiibo
coming.
this
It's
week.
coming for you Wii U. It seems to be one of the rare third-party games that has been announced. The like fall third-party games that is coming to Wii U. I think there's going to be some sort of cute Nintendo exclusive things. Whether it's a Nintendo exclusive world in the game, because the whole game is about like visiting different worlds.
Do you think they'll announce the actual Lego sets for like?
Like that
Legend
would be
of Zelda?
incredible, like a Mario or
That
a
would
Zelda
be
Lego
freaking
set,
cool.
and then those exist within the Wii U version of the game. And I don't think you could like the way those sensor works. I doubt you could like put an amiibo on the Lego sensor or vice versa. I don't think that's how any of that's going to.
No, they're different. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
actually surprised that Nintendo didn't let them use NFC, but
yeah.
I guess that would be expensive for Lego too to have NFC and the technology
Sure,
for the other
sure.
systems. Yeah.
But yeah, given that the whole game is about going to weird worlds, DC worlds, and Lord of the Rings, and Back to the Future and Wizard of Oz, I think throwing some Nintendo exclusive stuff over there would be cool. Also, the fact that like the only exclusive Lego game was a Wii U game, Undercover,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. That's also
Yeah.
weird that never came to other consoles.
And
No,
it's-
Nintendo paid to publish
Oh,
that.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nintendo paid for that game.
But it is. I agree with you. I mean, it's Lego GTA. It's actually. I mean, if you haven't played it,
game's
dear
really fun.
listeners, it's really fun. It's
Yeah,
a good
if you
game.
have a Wii U and you're like, man, I want somebody to play that. Like,
Yeah.
if you haven't played that, go back because
Yeah.
the game's really funny and just a lot of fun.
And good jokes, very
Yeah.
playful. But I mean, we have seen fans pitch through Lego Kuso, which was this program where you could pitch things like, for example, the DeLorean got pitched through it and actually got made by Lego when it got enough votes. There were proposals for Mario and Zelda games
Yeah.
and others in the past, and like Zelda just makes so much sense.
Yeah, it'd be
It's
great.
like the perfect Lego playset if you have the forest temple
Yeah,
or
totally.
the
Absolutely.
the fire temple.
Yeah.
And so if they were able to do that, do an announcement of something like an exclusive Nintendo world
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you unlock with figurines and they're real figurines,
That'd be really cool,
that's
right?
good thinking, Marty
Yeah.
Sleva.
I did it. Also, did you
I'd
see what the
pre-order
last-
that right
so wait,
now.
I do hope it happens. Wait, I just want to backtrack real quick because someone listening might have caught this. Wait, did you say Lego City Undercover might have been the last Lego? Because Lego Marvel Superheroes did come out, and so did I think the last Batman.
No. Lego City Undercover was the last single console exclusive.
Oh,
Lego
got it.
game. All the other Lego games come out for
Yeah,
everything.
they come
Yeah.
out for everything.
And
All right,
Universe
cool, cool. Just
also
wanted
got
to make sure.
announced for Wii
Yeah.
U. So,
Dude, that
yeah.
would be really rad. That's a really good prediction.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
Man,
the o-
cool.
yeah, no, that would be really, really cool, especially like Lego and Nintendo. Like, oh
Seemed pretty
man,
tight. Yeah.
yeah, that would be super cool. All right, last round. I don't want to try this,
love
but I'm gonna
Lego.
throw this out here anyway. You do?
I love Lego so much.
Yeah, so do I.
I have so much Lego at home.
It's true.
It's
you do.
yeah. I just built the big X-wing. I rebuilt the old TIE Fighter from 2000, the collector's edition. It took me 2 weeks to find all the pieces in the house. One I found behind the couch. And
I just
I'm-
pictured-
One
I'm
was in
about
the
to-
one was in the van, so you're never gonna see it again.
I'm about to build. I mean, my
That's a good
kids.
one.
No, I'm about to build Slave One, the Boba Fett shit.
Should
Where are you
we-
gonna put
Boba
all
Fett.
these things?
Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Can we spoil the episode 7 trailer through Legos?
No,
that'd be
no,
great.
absolutely not.
Rebuild
All right,
it.
next thing. So we didn't take a break, so I almost feel like we should before we do this last round. And I do have some question
Okay.
block questions. So why don't we take a break, and when we come back, you get the last round of IGN's Nintendo E3 predictions. Don't miss it. And welcome back, Jose Otero here with Marty
Your
Sleva
breaks are
and
so quick.
Per Schneider.
Hello.
Well,
I
the
feel so
camera's on.
refreshed.
The breaks are so
Yeah,
quick.
they're quick because the camera's on, and I don't think they edit out what we do on breaks.
Yeah,
so-
they do.
No, they
the other
don't.
shows do.
I don't tell them the timestamps, so I don't think they do. All right, so it's our last round of E3 predictions. This is it. This is the make or break deal. I want to I want to play this prediction so much, but I just don't think it's real.
You should. I like a few years ago, I predicted a 3D handheld, and I thought it was a stupid idea.
Well, I think this is a
And
stupid
it
idea.
worked.
I just
No,
spent
mine.
one of my predictions saying that I believe there will be a Wii U price drop. But the other half of that prediction, to me, is a redesigned Wii U. But the
What?
logic doesn't make sense to me yet. Let me iron this out. I'm gonna stick with it. Screw it. It's
That's
out
your
there.
prediction or no?
I think so. Yeah, a
Did you- what was
redesigned
your
Wii U.
Predictions conflict.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they do. Well, maybe they do and maybe they don't. What
Yeah.
if a redesigned Wii U is cheaper to make? That's the thing. What if a redesigned Wii U makes it look cooler?
What is it, made
because
from,
right
like,
now,
different
you see
material?
this thing at stores,
Like it's a hemp
and
machine?
it's a big tablet. It don't get me wrong, it feels good in your hands, but it still has that reputation of being sort of big and not very sleek, not very cool looking. Like you don't hear people say their Wii U looks cool.
If they shrunk the screen, are there any games that really rely on minute
Anything off TV
detail?
would,
Yeah.
but that would well,
It
Pikmin
would
3's
still work
controls.
with a screen the size of a 3DS XL, no? You could still play these games.
I just think part of bringing the price down and part
Maybe
of
not
generating
reading.
part of generating buzz potentially for this thing is redesigning it. But then the foil becomes, well, there's so many that how many have they made and how many of those do they have to unmake in order to make this happen? Like I don't 100. I'm not sold on this myself. That's why I feel kind of silly
Okay.
throwing it out there. But I'm gonna go with it.
But they've done it a few times. I mean, they usually drop like a port or something, or you know.
Yeah, but it's on consoles that sell well. Like the NES got redesigned. That was one of their best-selling systems. Super Nintendo redesigned, one of the best-selling systems. Wii redesigned because it was one of the best-selling systems. Look at the other way around. N64, to my knowledge, was never redesigned.
Well, the Pikachu one.
GameCube was never redesigned.
Well, no, hold on. There were cheaper versions produced of a lot of machines for China too. There were redesigned versions that dropped certain things.
But they weren't good-looking machines.
No, they weren't.
They?
They were just let's spec it down so we can bring down the production
Yeah.
cost and sell it in a secondary market or emerging market. They've
I hope
done
this
this.
podcast captures just the crazy nature of like trying to figure out what Nintendo does because we don't
Yeah.
know. This is what happens.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sold on
But-
this, but
but
I'm
it-
going to stick with it.
But I mean, we have seen the strategy, obviously, from Sony and Microsoft, where they take the machine and they bring down the size because technology, quite frankly, has advanced since they came out. Some of the cooling issues they had when they first designed the box, that's why they're making them so big, right?
Yeah.
Has all shrunk down, and they can sell it at a better price
It might
and
even
better form factor.
squash speculation that we
But the
use.
Wii is
that-
tiny.
Well, no, but it might
only small.
squash a lot of speculation that they're done with the system. Like I
Hmm.
think this E3 is a pivotal moment for them because they have to convince a lot of people that this thing is going to be around for the next year, maybe a little longer than a year at
Yeah.
least, because they've announced the code name to their next thing and. A lot of people have jumped to assumptions. What does that mean?
Do you think
know?
maybe a redesign could be included hard drive, or do you feel like that's not a good value proposition because not that many people download?
I think it would help to promote their digital
It's
strategy
like the
because
Wii
I
U
think that
Deluxe. New Wii U.
Yeah.
there you go. Well, no, I don't know. I mean,
God,
they,
they could totally
they
be
seem
called
to
the
be
new Wii.
sticking to this hard drive thing.
New
I don't
Nintendo is going to be the next platform.
I don't know if putting a hard drive in necessarily brings the price down, but I do think
No.
that there are certain components, certain elements, and certain places that system can use a bit of nipping and tucking.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I think I don't know how small the screen could get for you to still be able to read the text for all the games you can play off screen. But I think they can squeeze it down a little bit more. And then you are saving a little money on the screen. You could save money on the actual Wii U console too. I think there's a way to do it.
And I
They
think
could forget to pack in.
it tells a
power
positive
cord.
story for them a little bit because right now their story has been we're making really great games.
Yeah.
And they have. But it hasn't helped them out of the situation.
Yeah.
And I wonder if part of that is because not just the branding was confusing from the start, but because the box itself was just never that cool to look at to some degree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
could be.
Yeah.
It's a good It's a good thought. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to focus on the price drop for the machine.
Okay.
And that maybe they're saving some money on just making, being more efficient in how they produce Wii U's.
Okay.
But I just don't think they'll play the redesign game because it's not a huge success,
It's not.
right?
Yeah.
Like that's a big investment to redesign the machine and market it with a new form factor or something.
Selling
And
a
I
lot of
don't think
amiibos. I hope they're using that cash.
They're obviously not going to dump the gamepad now, right? Like that's
It's not.
something
Yeah.
they've said we're not going to do.
Yeah.
So it's a good point.
Yep.
All right, so my last prediction is very similar to you. I think the hold on, one more thing trailer is going to be the retro Metroid game, and I think it's going to be third person. And I think for two reasons. One, when Metroid Prime started its life, it was a third person game. Nintendo suggested, hey, you haven't figured out how to handle, camera control in a shooter like that in the third person. Certainly that been experiments like Jet Force Gemini that didn't work out in my eyes with the third person camera. Now they have Splatoon, and they are showing that you can create really good third-person controls with the Wii U, where the screen actually can and the tilt, the motion
Please don't
sensors
use
and everything.
Tilt's not that bad.
No, but I think
I'm not a big Tilt fan.
That's
not,
okay.
not tilt, but you can use the gamepad to aim. I think
It's a
that's
choice.
going to be their approach. Third person because more than ever, character matters. Samus is a character that they want to promote. In Metroid Prime, she was hidden a lot of times when she was a ball, she was there, but you didn't see her as much as you could, and I think they're very conscious of that. And I think Metroid Prime as a franchise felt complete and like a great experiment, but it didn't feel new at the end. And I think going back to a third person, ignoring the Tecmo game, going back to the third person, having Retro do it makes all the sense in the world now.
I think it'll be awesome.
And I think it's not going to be a 2015 game. I think this is by the way, we have one more thing in the works.
Yeah, and part of last
Then it's going to
year's-
get delayed and it's going to get moved to NX.
I love that got tacked on. No, but part of last year's E3 was a lot of games leading into this year,
Yep.
2015. And I absolutely think and 100% believe that E3 this year will involve the same strategy.
Oh yeah, a lot
showing
of, a lot
what's
of spring and summer
yeah,
2016.
Yeah, a lot of hey, here's what's coming in 2016 from us, and it's unfortunate that Zelda's not part of that
Yeah.
strategy right now. But I like this idea a lot. I think it's really cool.
Which to me means that there's got to be another big game that gets demoed outside of Star Fox. That's why I thought Animal Crossing makes sense as a console demo and something that they could actually crank out for this year. But we'll see.
Okay.
Probably none of our
predictions
predictions are going to come true because, who can predict projects like, Codename Steam?
Nope. Or Splatoon.
No one last year was like, I think there's going to be a game with paint squids, and I think there's going to be one with Abraham Lincoln. No one said that in last year's show.
And honestly,
No.
Shin Megami Tensei,
yeah,
Fire Emblem
Fire Emblem.
crossover, who would have ever predicted something like that?
Yeah.
Like, you cannot predict that.
No,
Like-
that's what makes this job so frustrating.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but taking the Mario Party formula and turning it into a Nintendo Party like Nintendo Land, that makes sense, right? And you
Yeah.
can predict that.
I mean, who
but-
thought the big thing last year was going to be Amiibos?
Going into it, we had some conversations
Yeah.
where we said this is going to be
Is it Nintendo
Nintendo's
Toys
big
to Life?
moneymaker. Yeah,
Yeah.
me and Brian recorded some conversations where we were like, hey, this genre's huge. And if they approach it the right way, they can take a piece of that. I don't think they've 100% approached it the right way, but they still took a piece of it.
Yeah,
I think the figures look great.
Yeah.
I think the content is still
They've
middling
turned their
to
fan
a
base into madmen.
And after,
true.
Yeah.
like when you first saw Skylanders, you look at it and you're like, oh my God, just think if somebody applies that to Star Wars. What if Nintendo applied that to its universe? Like, you could quickly imagine that anyone with a good stable of characters could use the Skylanders formula to do
Totally.
something else.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be Pokemon. I thought this is the future for Pokemon,
Yeah.
is Skylanders. Like, you can even take that kind of almost gauntlet gameplay for Pokemon.
Pokemon seems so predatory, though. Like, there's over 750 of those things. Like,
Perfect.
we're barely getting
Perfect.
50 Smash Brothers
No,
characters
no,
out the door
no,
right
but
now.
this was your ideal world scenario. Skylanders, Activision, and Toys for Bob did a great job at rolling out all these different characters and having you, making you want to play them. Disney Infinity did a great job with
well,
it.
and you
right?
brought up to me too that transferring characters in like a Skylanders game is an event. It's something that you
Yeah.
reach a door where you're like, hey, I need fire here, and then you swap it out, and there's this transformation, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
instant, and
And-
you're in, and that's it.
I don't mean to bring up board games all the time, even though they're
really love board
amazing and I
games.
love them.
How about Checkers?
Huh?
Are we talking about Checkers? then?
No. I'm like more like Star Wars Armada and Machikoro and all these games are great. Anyway, but I love the physical move of doing something. But I thought Mario Party got it wrong. I didn't like it. But in Skylanders, it's perfect because you're taking an action to place a character and then something happens and it feels like an event. And you usually you're coming up to a door and you're like, oh, I need a fire guy, and you do it. And that's why I thought like Pokemon as an amiibo Toys to Life game was the surefire bet, but they went a completely different
Yeah.
route. I like it because I like collecting Link and Samus better than collecting more Pokemon, but that's what I'm saying. You can never predict which direction they're going to go.
No, you
Yeah.
can't.
Oh,
I should have
Nintendo.
totally
All right.
predicted a Pokemon Toys to Life game.
All right. Oh yeah.
Pokemebos!
Oh man, here we go.
Sorry.
All right, Marty.
Pre-order.
You're
this
up.
This is I think this has been one of my Nintendo E3 predictions for the past 7 years.
Oh yeah, what do you got?
I'm done. I already know what this is.
Do you know this one?
Of course I do.
Is it Mother 3? Wait,
No.
what did you think I was going to say?
No, finish, and I'll tell
Okay.
you what I
Mother
thought.
3 coming to 3DS.
Okay.
Finally. We're
Oh,
finally getting that
okay,
translation.
Forget it. I take it back.
It's finally happening.
They're going to do their own translation?
No, they'll take that. They'll take
they're
the one
gonna
we got.
do
They'll
that?
take the one we got because
Wow.
Nintendo's just so nice. Celebrating that 21st anniversary of Earthbound.
Is it going to be Is it going to be called Earthbound 2
Earthbounds.
or Earthbounds? It's
Yeah.
like the James Cameron
Earthbound.
sequel.
Yeah.
I like that you switched this up. I was ready for another Banjo-Kazooie prediction.
No, that's done.
We already talked. We talked about that on Locked. Whether because the guy had the. Did you guys talk about the Banjo Kazooie Smash Brothers thing? on here at
No,
all?
we didn't actually.
Okay.
No,
but,
that was
but
cool.
Phil
Yeah, you wanna-
Spencer.
Yeah, so,
Right.
yeah, someone now that you can obviously they want fans to let them know who they want as new characters in Smash. Someone tweeted at Phil Spencer, head of Microsoft, like, "Hey, it'd be awesome to have Banjo in Smash." And he said, "We've absolutely worked with Rare on licensing things back to Nintendo in the past, and it'd be rad to have Banjo and Smash." But I think that was just like Phil Spencer being a good guy.
Yeah,
You
then
like to
he
say-
put
take
down
a-
his phone and said, "Ha ha." No, I'm
No, I
kidding.
think it's the
I'm
same because
kidding.
like this week he
That was
also
really
tweeted
nice
out
of
like,
him.
"Congrats to Sony and FromSoft for selling 1
No,
million
he's
units of
super.
Bloodborne."
Yeah, he's super cool on Twitter
Yeah.
in terms of like just how he presents
Yeah.
himself.
It would
Yeah.
be
He is-
awesome to have Banjo and
But,
Smash.
and I mean, I think partially it's Phil is smart and he knows if you are this is what the audience, what fans don't expect from the leader of Xbox,
Yeah.
right? They don't expect him to go like, sure, Banjo can appear in, Smash Bros. Banjo and Kazooie were on the GBA, obviously, when Microsoft already owned them through a
yeah.
licensing deal with THQ. So it can absolutely happen.
That was
And-
through THQ.
Yeah, and Microsoft did not have a handheld, and so that made it a little easier.
Yeah.
And MS, they obviously they put games on iPhones as well and iPads. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. Wait,
I
what are we
feel
talking about? We're still
like
talking about Banjo?
Banjo-Kazooie,
Oh, yeah.
and I don't think that's going to happen.
What about-
because I don't think Nintendo would ever ask for that.
Yeah.
What about Ryu in Smash Bros?
Yeah, what's all
Or
that
Roy
nonsense,
in
man?
Smash Bros? Did you hear about the news? So someone on Reddit was taking credit for sort of decrypting the Smash Brothers files and finding sound files for Roy, who was previously in Smash Bros. Melee,
Yeah.
and Ryu from Capcom Street Fighter,
Yeah.
including background music. And so it has led to a lot of speculation. Now, first of all, I mean, it's whether or not this thing is real to begin with. Like
You never know.
the idea of a decryption or someone actually getting that part right. No offense, but working this beat, you learn to take everything that you see on the internet with a grain of salt.
Like the Mario Maker picture?
Or that was a different example of me being 100% wrong, and you were there to see it. But I'm talking about more like the Raymans and Smash,
Oh, totally.
and the E3 list that everyone loves to act like Nintendo just leaves their E3
Zelda
list
movie
with
trailer.
all
Oh,
the-
is that
with-
crappy picture on the side?
yeah,
like,
because
angle?
nothing would have like I'm not even going to say it because people will change their photoshops. But anyway, so I think Ryu would make a lot of sense for Smash Brothers,
Sure,
and
a
given
lot.
the relationship Capcom has with Nintendo and putting in Mega Man, I think they would 100% be okay with putting even the moveset makes sense, like just neutral B being Hadouken and his recovery attack being
Hadouken.
Shoryuken and him getting back on stage that way. But it's just a matter of, is that a thing, or is this someone just trolling, as this always ends up being in most cases?
I think it's a troll, but it would be really awesome. Like that, the Street Fighter characters just, they would feel at home in that world too.
Yeah,
it would be cool to
It'd
see
be,
them.
Yeah, a lot less weird than having Snake in Brawl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snake was like the weird one, right? Like
Yeah.
the one that didn't match. And I feel the same way about Bayonetta, you know? Like
Yeah,
it just doesn't quite match. Whereas
It's
like
almost too
Mega
violent.
Man and Pac-Man, you're like, yep, it's just a matter of when, not if. And Banjo-Kazooie would fit amazingly well
Yeah.
in this franchise. But I just feel like that's where Nintendo goes, oh, Microsoft is using this as a Trojan horse. Conquer, by the way, too, as a Trojan horse to promote, what is that, Project Spark? Or,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't think they would ever go for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think Phil would go for it.
Yeah,
like I
totally.
do think.
And
like,
a couple
yeah.
years from now, Microsoft will have its name in the opening credits of pretty much every console game
think
with
so?
Minecraft.
Yeah.
There we
But,
go.
Yeah.
So Mother 3 really interesting.
Not gonna happen, but I want it to.
But it has to. It's just like this weird thing where it is so cheap to make it happen, especially as a downloadable.
Totally.
It is so cheap.
And we're getting Lucas. Like they still love Lucas. Obviously, Lucas is coming back to Smash.
Pick any game idea Nintendo could be working on. Releasing a localized version of Mother 3 on 3DS is the cheapest thing they could work on.
Yeah.
No question.
Is Lucas the only Smash character that Americans can't legally play his game?
Wait, what?
I mean, I
I'd
guess
have
Game
to
and
look
Watch
at.
like his little. Oh, there's a Game and Watch for.
Yeah, they've
Yeah.
they've re-released Game and Watches
Yeah.
on like
Yeah.
DS.
Well, they
At one point, I would have said Takumaru. I'm forgetting his official name, but it's
Ninja Castle.
Ninja Castle.
Muramasa
Nazo
Demon
Muramasa
Castle,
Joe
yeah.
was a Japan only thing
Yeah,
until they
yeah.
just recently put it on the eShop
Yeah.
with his character.
The
But he's just an
couple, there's
assist
like the
trophy.
detective club, all that stuff, but there
Yeah.
are no playable characters,
characters,
in Smash.
yeah.
No, yeah, there are
They're just
definitely
referenced.
stuff that's referenced left and right that
Oh,
didn't make it
totally.
over
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
Like even Fat Little Mac from Captain Rainbow. That game will never see the light of
Oh,
day
yeah.
here. Yeah.
Fat little
Yeah,
Fat
the
Little Mac.
overweight Little Mac, who you have to help him solve his weight problem
Yeah.
on an island. Yeah, this is a thing.
It's amazing.
Uh-huh.
Video games
Poor
are
fat
awesome.
little Mac.
Yeah.
But that's a good prediction. Like,
I like
I
it,
feel like
yeah.
there's absolutely no reason why that's not real. Like, yeah.
I also like your point that Mother 3 would be one of the cheapest things they could do right now.
If,
Why
by
not?
the way, anybody listening, if you can think of something cheaper Nintendo could do, like to create a game and release it on any of their platforms right now, let me know.
And it'd be such an show of goodwill.
Yeah.
Like something that hasn't been released.
So I promised our listeners last week we would have some question block questions, but we have not done it, and we're hitting an hour in a second. Do you guys have
We should do it.
10? Can we
Yeah,
get a
let's
few
do it.
in, and
Come
then
on.
next show we'll do as many as we can as
Yeah.
as a makeup, as
Yeah,
a
we can get a
promise.
few in.
Make it for the promise. Okay. So first question block question comes from. Oh, and you know how this segment works. We quickly try to tackle one of your questions. Usually there's a 4-minute timer running. I'm going to keep it running, but I'm not going to be a super stringent
Yeah.
person about this, and might let some of them even go further. So anyway, first question comes from Chris from Saskatoon.
I like how you all like gung ho again and then bras.
No, and then I read it,
Saskatoon,
and then I went,
Saskatchewan,
yeah,
Canada.
Saskatchewan.
Where are
Thank
my
you,
vowels?
Canada.
Yeah.
Pretty much. What Nintendo franchise do you think could benefit the most from a more robust gameplay update or quote-unquote reboot? And what aspects of the formula would you change? He gives us an example. I'll be playing Zelda until I die, but I think that an update to the formula without changing the core mechanics would go a long way. I would like to see more RPG elements worked into the franchise. This could include a more robust skill system and or upgradable weapons and items. I'm thinking of boomerangs, bows, hook shops with different attributes that might fit various playstyles. I wouldn't go as far as XP or leveling up. Other Zeldas included this kind of progression, especially Skyward Sword. The shields were like upgradable, if you remember. But it was more linear than what I am thinking. And then he closes out with what little information Nintendo has given about Zelda Wii U. He's hoping that they're putting in and integrating more player choices in that game.
Yeah.
All right, there you have it.
Good one.
Yeah,
So,
that's a good one.
Franchise that can use a robust gameplay update or reboot.
Mine would be Pokemon.
Me too.
Yeah,
Mine too.
I think
Both immediately?
Yeah, Pokemon was a thing I adored the first few iterations of, and then I just feel like it's been sort of retreading the same ground. I haven't put a ton of time in the last couple, but it's still one of those things I would love a big open world. I would love it on a console.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to, have the freedom to explore. Again, it's just all that pie in the sky, but like the feeling you get when you wander around Skyrim.
Yeah.
That sort of freedom of having this amazing world and wandering around and sort of having those moments of awe. And instead of, I don't know, maybe take it back to like the original OG, like 150, 151 Pokemon, because I think 700 sort of dilutes it. It makes each one a little less special. I would rather see a game with fewer Pokemon and have them,
Nice
and have
save.
them all mean a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm with you. I loved the Pokemon games when they first came out, and whenever I go back and play one, I really enjoy it still. But the mechanics are the same, right? Like the way you encounter the Pokemon, the way you prevent encountering them, the way you train them, what you do, how you trade them, how you interface with the gym leaders. Like that whole progression of the quest is always the same.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like, and the angle, the presentation is still very similar even after the upgrades. And Pokemon still, like they need voices. They can really benefit from some serious upgrades. And that's an MMO would be amazing.
Yeah.
Like if they could figure out how to do that, even a 2D MMO where you're meeting other real players,
Yeah.
and maybe it's just, maybe it's not true MMO, but you have 16 players on one server
Yeah,
rather than
totally.
hundreds. That open world would be amazing, or a 3D game. Like if somebody with the skill of the makers of a Zelda game tackled Pokemon.
Yeah.
Game Freak is not that company. If they did it, it would be so freaking cool.
That's Retro's game, 3D
Yeah.
Pokemon.
Okay. I will be to bring some variety to this question. I would say Kirby. I think Kirby absolutely. It's time for a reboot/change, and I feel you get pieces of that every time they try the experimental stuff with Kirby. For example, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, or Kirby's Epic Yarn, or I'm sure I'm missing a bunch. Even the pinball stuff to me
yeah.
is more interesting than traditional Kirby games. Return to Dreamland. And Mass Mass Attack. I like Mass Attack.
Triple
Triple
something?
Deluxe
Yeah.
just didn't do it for me.
Really? Yeah, and when I was playing Box Boy, also from HAL,
Yeah.
I was thinking, why didn't they take this concept and make that the core Kirby gameplay? Like the concept of extruding and like hooking yourself onto things or creating a stair step. Like it feels so like perfect for a Kirby game. But they kind of put it out as a very simple, very minimalist game. And I enjoy the game a lot, but like when I played it, I'm like, man, they should have done this to Kirby.
I just thought it
been
could feel
perfect.
that mechanic could also feel like a Yoshi game with his tongue.
Yeah.
Sort of his tongue
Yeah.
using him to
Blam,
get from
blam.
point A to point
Yep.
B.
Yep.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
but good point.
Yeah, good question.
All right, awesome. Great question. Next comes from
Ba-dink.
friend of the show, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Dave
Hey,
says, so Donkey Kong 64 is now available on the Wii U in the US. Any chance it'll come up in conversation during MVC this week or next, or maybe even in a separate video? I never played it back in the day, so it holds zero nostalgic value for me.
Good.
A game like Mario 64 is very good, even without considering its influence or relying on fond memories. Does Donkey Kong 64 have any of that timeless quality, or were its good reviews, Matt Casamassina gave it a 9, more a product of the tastes of that era? So I'd not play this game, so you two have to run with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I think there's a really good
I
chance
played
we're
it
going
very
to talk
little.
about Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah.
That was his first question. Is
Yeah.
there a chance? There is a chance.
There's a chance we'll talk about
Okay,
it
we're
right
talking
now.
about it. Can you guys? You're wasting time.
There's only two of us. We can vamp.
So I absolutely, I think out of all the big releases from that era, it has not aged that well. I think at the time we were very, very happy to see the franchise back, and we really loved the kind of Banjo-Kazooie style setup and the sense of humor, and like just that big world was really cool to see. But it was the worst excesses of the collectathon setup.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Having multicolored bananas that could only be picked up by a certain character, but that you would see all the time, but you couldn't change on the fly. It just created this kind of almost punishing world where you're like, oh, it's a chore to
Yeah.
collect everything, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so it's not. I sometimes talk about the game as if it's the worst game ever made, but
No,
and
not
it
at all.
isn't. It's like it's got some really cool levels, like the high tech kind of factory level,
Yeah.
all that stuff. There's really some really good stuff in it. The fact that you can swim and jump and do all these different things was great, but it is not Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, absolutely. I think DK64 and Jet Force Gemini are probably the two games that I
Yeah.
enjoyed the most at the time. That looking back on, I'm like, man, these have not aged well
Yeah.
at all. Yeah, I completely agree. I adore Banjo-Kazooie. It's one of my favorite games of all time. But you said it. This started with Banjo-Tooie and then sort of hit a peak with DK64. Was that the order?
Yeah.
It was Kazooie, Tooie, and then 64? Or
I'm
DK64?
trying to remember.
Okay.
I can look it up while
Yeah.
you keep going.
But I think DK64 is the worst culprit of that bloat. That it went from it was fun to explore each of the worlds in Banjo and sort of get to every nook and cranny and find everything. Whereas in DK, it almost punished you, and it felt like you were at like Atlas. Just you had the world on your back, or you were Sisyphus. You were pushing that boulder uphill, and that you kept finishing a level and then having to go through it again, and it wasn't that much different, even though you had a different character. And I
Yeah.
like the different character approach. That could have been something really cool.
Yeah.
But the fact that you had to go through each level multiple times, and by the end of it, you had such fatigue of these maps. You were so tired. Of
Yeah.
It's
these
interesting because Mario reuses all of its maps and doesn't have that fatigue.
maps. Because the things change a little bit.
They do.
Like the Bob-omb Battlefield changes in Mario 64 depending on which star you go in to enter.
And the collection is meaningful. Getting the red coins can be a puzzle, right?
Totally.
Whereas in Donkey Kong, it was more like there's so many of them that when you have a lot of something, it's not special anymore.
It feels like collecting like feathers or flags in Assassin's Creed.
And that's where, like in Banjo-Kazooie, hunting Jinjos was fun
Yeah.
because there are only like 5 of them,
Yeah,
right?
totally,
And
yeah.
like so when you get them all, you feel a sense of accomplishment. The music notes actually lead you around the level a
Yep.
bit, and in this game, it's just there are bananas everywhere.
Yeah.
It's-
So if
Yeah,
this
crazy.
is to be believed, it was Banjo-Kazooie, then Donkey Kong
Yep.
64,
And
then
then
Jet
Tooie.
Force
Okay.
Gemini,
And
then later Perfect Dark, Tooie, and Conquer.
Gotcha,
and then
gotcha.
Mickey's Speedway USA.
Oh yeah, that's not even mentioned.
Yeah, no, that,
Shocking.
that's okay.
Yeah, most people
Diddy
don't like
Kong
Mickey
Racing is
Speedway.
in there too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would say DK64 is worth if you're like
No.
a big Nintendo fan. In terms of it's interesting.
think so.
It's an
I
interesting thing. Like
No.
if you wanna, sometimes
Just
you have to
for
watch a crappy
history.
movie to understand why it's crappy.
Okay, but if you've played Mario 64, Sunshine,
Yeah.
Galaxy, if you played all those games, you played Banjo-Kazooie, you played Banjo-Tooie, then it's worth looking at because you have nothing left to do. But don't go out of your way to play it.
No, but it's like worth seeing like the depths to realize why something like Mario 64, why Banjo-Kazooie are good.
Yeah.
It puts it in a
It's-
good light.
to me,
also,
it's
it
like
has
a
that
Peter
rap at the beginning. How does that exist?
And that's no.
How do we live in a world where that
but-
rap exists?
But it's like Peter Jackson, right? Like when you hold on one second, when you watch
That's
King
it.
Kong,
That's
there's a
it.
good movie in there, but
That's
it
it.
just nobody edited it, and that's Donkey
Okay,
Kong.
and
You said
time.
we could go late. You lied to us.
Yeah,
I
what a
totally
liar.
lied to you.
Man,
I
Otero.
don't want to keep. This was hilarious, but I don't want to keep it going.
Hey, what do you got?
Next question comes from good friend of the show, Charles Gatson. Charlie
Hey,
Gatson.
Charles.
Hi,
He
Charlie.
says, "Hi guys.
You got to answer that quick, though.
Like
'cause
everyone
there's
else, I'm ecstatic about the second Mario Kart 8 DLC pack.
Oh yeah.
Do you feel this will be the last expansion to this game? If not, what additions would you like to see? I know it's hard to predict since there's so much variation in the game. One big package of happiness. If they keep this up, this is going to be one of the biggest Nintendo games ever. So, first of all, is this the last expansion for Mario Kart 8? I
Yes,
hope not.
it is.
I really, really, really
I
hope
thought about
not.
it for a long time.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
I mean, it took so long between the last DLC and this one, but I honestly feel if they announced another tomorrow, tomorrow, that people would take it well because they've been really, really good.
yeah.
Now, is there space on the menu screen to put this stuff? I don't think so, but I agree with you that it's probably the last of it, but part of me wishes it wasn't because the Animal Crossing stage, all the stages look fantastic. It's not. I can't even pick one that I look at and go, oh, that just looks boring. I mean, maybe Super Bell Subway, but even then, you pass by like World 1-1 Mario graffiti on the walls, and I'm just like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think they did a great job pre-marketing the DLC where at the height of the game's popularity, you were upsold on these 2 expansion packs and you're like, you know what? I'm going to keep the game and I'm going to pre-order those 2 expansions right now because they look awesome. And they're going to deliver on that. I think they are spending a lot of time developing these tracks. And
I think they're working on other things while they're
but
developing
I think they're saying, you know what? before we make another 4 tracks, we're going to make a new game. I think they will start on the next Mario Kart or another game before they revisit this one, because it's a game of diminishing returns, right? Like, the second expansion pack is not going to do as well as the second one, as the first
As the
one.
first.
There's
No,
just
that's
no
fair.
way, right? And so I think they get more money by saying the next set of 20 plus tracks we're going to save for a new game.
I mean, it would in one way, if they stuck to it, it would help them in terms of, here's another cool thing coming to Wii U, and it's not a 100% brand new thing, but something that people will really like.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. Of course, it is to some degree a game of diminishing returns, where each DLC, like, it's kind of like the stories we hear when a game comes out, its first week or first month is its biggest month, and then
Yeah.
it's just it dips
Yeah.
and it continues to dip. Some of them have a long tail, but regardless, you rarely see big spikes. But I do think, or I do hope, I don't know, they did this one so right. Like, of all the
They did it
DLC
right.
Nintendo has done, this is one of the ones that just felt really well executed.
Yeah, but they
Despite
also did,
the amount of
they did
time it
Pikmin
took.
the same way. Now the DLC in
but
Pikmin
no-
was not as special.
Well,
Like
the-
it
Yeah,
wasn't like
But
something.
it was good. It's just
it was
people
good.
didn't care.
Yeah,
Let's
but,
be fair.
But with Mario
We
Kart, I
care.
feel like they're done with it and they're moving on to Smash Brothers. I think they're gonna spend time on balancing new characters and all that, and then whatever new
Stages.
game comes out, they're gonna have DLC for that.
Yeah. Sell stages, sell characters, keep it going.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think Animal Crossing takes a lot of time to make, so that's
Yeah,
what they're gonna do now.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think they're probably at work on whatever the next handheld Mario Kart's going to be.
Okay.
Yep.
A new
Maybe they
series,
can reuse the track layouts pretty easily of all the tracks they've made already.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
get a running start.
Especially if NX and Wii U have some kind of shared architecture, if that's the case.
Yeah.
Not saying we know that. All right. We ended that one early.
Thank you, Gatson.
You got time for one more or two more? Draw the line, because I'm
Well,
going to keep
depends
going.
on how long you wait
how
for the
quick
answer.
we do the first one. Go.
Okay, fine. So this is coming from Santiago in Guadalajara. He says, I want to talk to you about the future of Nintendo platforms. Are we going to see Nintendo enter strategies similar to iPhones, where there are 3 or 4 versions of the iPhone that are compatible with every game and app out there? Is NX going to use the same eShop? Will games still be compatible between all platforms?
see.
Will we see more integration, basically, between 3DS and Wii U?
Well, first of all, they've already done the iPhone, and that's the 3DS and the DS, right? They've iterated so much on the devices. Like, just think of the 2DS.
Yeah.
Plays all your games, but they're not in 3D. And, then you've got the new 3DS. It plays all the 3DS games. So they've executed on that strategy with the handhelds where it's cheaper. I don't know.
But
I don't,
unlike the iPhone,
Yeah.
the next version doesn't trump the last one by that much. I mean, new 3DS just happened, whereas 2DS was the exact same internal sort of
that was the
you know,
cheap
hardware.
iPhone 5S.
It was-
what
it was a 3DS minus 3D.
4C,
Yeah. Yeah.
4C
Yeah.
play, right? It was the cheaper
to a
version,
degree, yeah. And to some degree, it worked out okay for them. It wasn't a smashing success.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just saw a message. I was trying to get someone in here to defend Donkey Kong 64.
Nice.
And help Marty out, but he did a pretty good job on his own. So I'm going to tell them. I'm going to call off the dogs. All right, but anyway, going back to the question. I think that's something they want. I just don't know if that's something that can exist right now.
It comes with success. The iPhone is tremendously successful. Everybody wants one when there's a new one. And let's not forget that corporations supply them to, all the execs. And so there's like this built-in upgrade market. That's how, Verizon gets you to stay with their platform.
Yeah.
They're going to give you a new one. So you cannot take that model that works so well for phones and apply it to other devices.
Well, and to some degree, they've been doing it already, at least for years, with the backwards compatibility that they build into everyone, right? Even though they iterate on hardware, even though they make a new device, they always make sure it works with your DS or it works with your GBA. They just are cutting off one system each time they bring up a new one.
Yeah.
And then they're probably selling it to you digitally, although in the case of GBA games on 3DS, they completely missed that boat.
What you're trying to get at sounds more like the PC market, right? Like that's the Steam machines are supposed to be that way, where everybody can make one of these box and you can buy a super powerful one or a not so powerful one, and you can, in theory, play all the games.
Yeah, but the Steam machines, obviously, that was
Huh?
that was a lot of smoke blown.
Yeah.
Hot air, perhaps?
Yeah. A lot of, was that a Steam joke, Jose?
Well, they're not quite
Perhaps.
out yet, so we'll
No.
see what happens.
They're never gonna be quite out.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see with the NX if it's going to be backwards compatible with Wii U, because that would mean that it would have to
I don't think so.
maintain a lot of that. Yeah, a lot of that.
I think it will.
A lot of that gamepad
Really?
stuff.
I
which
think
I think that the gamepad was a failure in design.
No.
ultimately.
Well, I don't think you're on his camp on this, but for Mr. It's going to be the home console portable thing. It would absolutely have to have a similar architecture, like that can do something like that.
You mean, okay,
Home console handheld thingamabob that you keep
for sure.
believing in, which
Yeah, like
I think sometimes you're right, and I think sometimes it's way off just because it would cost too much.
but I don't think. I don't think it'll be the magical device that will continue the legacy and it will work with the games that they release on iOS or anything. I don't think it'll be this system that plays everything and then they iterate slightly, but it'll always be backwards compatible. I think they are going to have to create a completely new device that forgets the Wii U existed, is what I think.
I don't know. I think that's been such a deep part of their strategy for each box that comes out. I don't think you just throw that out.
It's worked how many times? Once?
I think it's worked pretty well for them. I mean, GameCube was the only time they didn't do it.
But they're making more money by just making you buy them from the eShop again. You know?
I mean,
Like,
that's a 100%.
Look at the
fair
market,
point.
right? The two companies that did not offer backwards compatibility are thriving
Okay.
more than the company that
Okay,
offered it.
but hang on.
this-
What were you
this
doing
way.
with your PlayStation 4 when there was nothing coming out? You weren't playing PlayStation 3 games. What were you doing with your Xbox One when nothing was coming out for a bit? And that's typical of first-year hardware. It happens all the time. You have the classics to go back to, essentially, and you end up playing them. It's a reason to keep the old games and just buy the new box.
Yeah?
It always has been.
I-
I was really burned last time how much money I spent on digital games on Sony and Microsoft's platforms. This is not to throw them under the bus because I understand why these decisions happen, and it 100% makes sense. I'm not done. I'm not done. But I will say, I was really annoyed. There's so, thank goodness, the next Rock Band's coming out. You know how much Rock Band money I lost just by not by not having a 360 that can around in the house anymore?
Yeah.
Because I moved up, I upgraded. I didn't want more boxes
Yeah.
under my television.
Sorry,
this
you're
bothers
very
me.
passionate about
a
this,
lot.
and like I feel the same way. I think my dream device would always be backwards compatible, and like we are playing Skyward Sword right now on the Wii U, and it's nice to have that option. And I didn't finish GTA when I first played it because I had unhooked my 360 and I couldn't play it on
gen.
Xbox One,
Yeah.
right? Like I rebought it later, so I guess good for them, not good for me, but. I would love that. I just feel like you are slave to certain types of technology and a setup that clearly didn't work with the Wii U this time.
Okay, but they are very conscious that going from Wii to Wii U, one of the biggest mistakes they made is that the architectures weren't really similar. And that's something that Miyamoto has said to us.
Really?
Yes, he said that last E3. It's in an interview somewhere on the site. There is a story about this.
Okay.
And they do sort of lament that moving on to the next thing always meant completely ditching the last hardware or building in the hardware components to do backwards compatibility is what I took away from that. He wasn't specific.
Yeah.
I want to be sure that I draw the line between what he said and what I'm tossing in there.
Yeah.
But I still disagree with that sentiment because I don't think there was an audience clamoring for a new box that still played a lot of the Wii games.
Yep.
I think the Wii fizzled because people moved on from that experience more than anything else. I think the very different thing happened with NES and Super NES and Super NES to N64.
Yeah. We'll see.
I'm kind of stuck. I want to keep arguing with you, but
Yeah.
we should probably end here. Last question.
Oh,
last
yeah. Here we go.
question. This is it.
This
so
is the
Sean
most
Pike,
epic
you better,
NBC
you better,
ever.
yeah, you better count your blessings because you're the last question. All right. So, hey guys, first of all, I love the show. I listen every week. My question is about the Quality of Life initiative Nintendo teased last year. We haven't heard much about it lately, but given recent developments with DNA, do you think these are related? With health tracking becoming bigger and bigger all the time, is Nintendo's step into the mobile space part of their QOL strategy? Absolutely it is. All of this tying under one Nintendo profile, like how could it not be? Like you would want that infrastructure just for that. So whatever this Wii Fit thing is that you put out that's a quality of life product, maybe it ties back to your consoles, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. They have kind of said there is a line drawn and they're not necessarily, I think they've hinted that it's not really gaming related, but I do think that is a thing.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about wearables, and I think Nintendo has said non-wearables is where it wants to be, right? Like not being tethered to to a device that you have to bring with you, and certainly expanding to a device you already own.
This isn't a wearable, it's your phone.
is the no. That's
No,
what I'm
that's what
saying.
sounds
But
good,
like
yeah.
Okay.
certainly expanding to a platform that's already in your pocket alleviates the need to buy another little Nintendo Hey You Pikachu device. Now what was it called? The Pokewalker.
Yeah.
What was the Fit Pokewalker? Wii Fit thingy.
The Wii Fit meter.
Wii Fit meter.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are already a ton of cool.
Hey, you fit me.
Apps. Hey, you fit me. I like that. That's something very different.
Hey, you fitted you.
That is, hey, you fit it you.
Mm-hmm.
There are already a lot of apps like on the App Store right now that you can download that it's gamify exercise.
Yep.
There's like that one that sort of tells a zombie story in your ear
Uh-huh.
that as you're running and you have to run faster and faster as zombies get closer, and it says, hey, if you can make a right in the next 50 meters, you can get this item.
Yeah.
And while you're running, if you can make a right somewhere without getting hit by a car, I feel like that, like gamifying that sort of stuff, that would be interesting. It feeding into some sort of a central profile.
Yeah.
All of that would be interesting. Yeah.
They did. I mean, guys, Nintendo did a great job with Wii Fit, right? Like
Yeah.
that. It is a fun game. We all played it. A lot of us never freaking work out. And we're like,
totally.
oh, this is great. Why am I sweating? Right? Like, they did a wonderful job taking gameplay and applying it to fitness.
Yeah.
And they made some mistakes with how they allow you to customize your body shape for BMI initially, which they fixed later, right? They've gotten better at it, but they're really good at that stuff. Brain training is another example.
Brain Age is a game as a no
Brain Age
that you have to have on mobile. Like I
And-
want Brain Age on my phone.
And I think they can see success with that. I think it's absolutely a strategy as they're looking at mobile.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. All right,
you-
and we're done.
hey, you
I
fit it, you.
want to thank you both for sticking around. I am so sorry
course.
we went over. You
was
guys
fun.
absolutely rocked it, and thank you for those who sent in questions. We actually got a ton of really good questions. So next week, absolute pinky swear, promise, whatever you want. We will be back here tackling some more question block just for you. Thank you so much for
Also, when
submitting
Brian
so
gets
many
back,
questions.
get him to have to make predictions.
Yeah,
I
he
want
needs
all-
to
I want
make
all his to be
predictions.
wrong.
Can we just have him just do it on his own? I guess that'll make sense, right? Just 5 rounds of Brian. Just
Yeah.
I think it'll be this, and I think it'll be this.
No, that's
Bra-
exactly
bra-
it. We just heckle him the whole time.
Yeah, that's
Yep,
it. All right,
I
let's
like
do
it.
it. Absolutely a thing. Cool. Thank you for listening to Nintendo Voice Chat. We are a weekly show on IGN, but we are not the only show on IGN. In fact, we've got a shows about Star Wars,
Star Wars.
We got-
PlayStation, Xbox, you name it. So make sure
Marty's
you check
in
it out.
all of them.
I'm on all
Yeah,
of them. I was on
apparently.
everything this
How did
week.
you become the podcast rock star?
I don't
What is it?
actually do anything at my desk, and so I just sort
I
of
think
weasel
it's
my way
like
into this room.
It's like it follows. Like you leave the door open and Marty comes in. If
Marty-
you do a podcast, he'll
No,
follow you.
I will say in
Do
earnest.
you know how the It
Marty,
Follows thing
Oh,
was
yeah.
passed? Yeah, sort of like an STD.
But that's yeah.
No, Marty brings
Sorry,
a lot of
Marty.
fun to the room. Like I really love the energy he brings in, and whenever we call on him, he always delivers. And I thank you
Thanks,
deeply for
Jose.
doing that.
Aw,
Considering
shucks.
that, yeah. Meanwhile, when Pear's gone, I just go, whatever. That's not
we'll
true.
find someone.
He's
That's
kinda happy,
That's
you know?
100% not true. But anyway, going back to what I was